Hello and good morning. This is Dr. Ope Banwo. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever it is you are watching us all over the world. You are tuned in again to Immigration Clinic on Law 103.9 FM in Lagos, Nigeria. We also call it Japa without tears, migrating the right way with the right visa so that you can get to wherever you want to be all over the world the right way and at the right time. And this program being hosted originally on 103.9 FM, Law FM, is to provide you daily or weekly updates, ideas, um, describing some different types of visas that you can get or green cards to the US. And today, on this exciting episode, we are going to be talking about the L1 visa option to the USA. It's an amazing, amazing option. It is we're going to be taking it apart. I'm going to be answering the questions you may have on it. And then, of course, if you have some questions yourself, you want to call into the studio or you want to post it on the live stream wherever you are watching this. I promise you, your questions will be collated if we cannot answer it directly on the call, and we will respond to it in a different episode. And of course, if you would like to book an appointment with me to talk about your own specific immigration case, you want to go to opebanwo.net and book that appointment. I'm an immigration attorney based in the U.S. I've been an immigration attorney in the U.S. since 1997. That is 27 years ago, as at the time of this one that you're watching me live or listening to me live is what I've been doing. My law firm in the U.S. is called Banwo and Ibukwe Law Firm. You can get it at bi-law.com. But you can book an appointment to talk with me about your own specific case at opebanwo.net. It's only $100 to get to talk to me so that we can look at your own specific situation and give you cutting edge advice on how to go about doing what you need to do. Also, as you're watching this show today, as we break down the L1 visa option, this may just be what you need, especially if you're an executive out there, you own your own business, or you work in an executive capacity or in a senior capacity in a company that is willing to help you immigrate to the USA. This could be probably the best visa you want to go for. We're going to be breaking it down over the next few minutes, and hopefully it will give you more information. It will give you more direction on maybe the option you should have used for a very, very long time. Again, my name is Dr. Ope Banwo, and I'm coming to you live and direct from Law FM 103.9. That is the number one law station in Nigeria. You want to tune in Monday to Sunday. They are on 24/7 on everything that has to do with law. It's not just about the immigration program. This is just one. Immigration Law Clinic is just one of the programs they have there. They have all sorts of programs that can enrich your knowledge and understanding and entertainment in the area of law. So you want to keep it a date with them. 103.9 FM is where you want to be if you really want to have fun with law, getting updates on developments of law in Nigeria and different parts of it. I just do the Immigration Law Clinic part of it. Okay, so let's get to it. So today we are going to be talking about the L visa, which is the L1, they call it intracompany visa for foreign workers who want to transfer key employees. That's the operative word, key employees to work or to start a branch of their law firm. I say law firm, see, we lawyers, to start a branch of their company in the US. It's either they already have a branch here and they are trying to send a foreign employee, in other words, somebody in Nigeria or whatever country you might be in, to come and work in that US company, or if they don't have a company already in the US, an existing company abroad in a place like Nigeria can then decide to send one of his staff to come to the US and set up a branch of the company for them. And that person can be the owner of the company, can be an executive, can be, and we're going to be talking about the type of people that qualify. You don't have to own shares in that company for you to be transferred under the L1 visa. It's such an amazing visa that if you are watching this and you happen to qualify, you want to get in touch with me quickly, because this is one of those hottest visas now that can guarantee you, yourself, your wife, your children under 21 to be able to not just come to the US to be able to work, but it's something you can then translate into green card within a few years. Everybody gets in here with the ability to work, which is what makes this an exceptional visa from day one. So let's break it down as we continue in this exciting show today. So the first question, obviously, in your mind right now as you are listening to this on 103.9 FM is, what exactly is the L1 visa? The L1 visa is for employers who want to transfer key employees from an international office, say Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, to the US. So if you have registered companies in the US and abroad, moving executives or managers or critical employees with the L1 is a very distinct possibility. Either you already have branches in both countries, or you are ready to try to start a branch in the US side of the equation. I especially love this L1 visa, to be honest with you. It's one of the most successful ones that we've worked with. It even works if you don't have employees in the US yet and just want to start to establish a new office, and we can help you with both sides of that, in other words, from the Nigerian end as well as from the foreign end, as well as the US end of this. Okay, so you want to ask, before we go into the qualifications and all that, why the L visa? Like I always tell people, there are so many options, work visa options to the US that you can, and green card options that you can use if only you have the knowledge. For instance, there's the EB1, what they call the juniors visa out there. There's the EB2, there's EB3, there's the O visa, there's the P visa, there's the H1B option. There are so many options for you if you speak with a professional. And that might be why you want to book an appointment with me at your convenience, so that we can talk about all your options. Even if you don't think this L1 visa is for you, at least to get expert advice based on your qualifications, based on your current situation, what is best for you. So you may also be asking yourself, why the L visa? Let's talk a little bit about the advantages of the L visa, so that you can understand why this is why this may be a great visa option for you. Number one, there is what is called the premium processing option, where the government allows you to get approval or decision about your case within 15 working days. Can you believe that? Typically, most visas, when you apply for them, I'm talking mostly about the ones in the US, the green card options or the work visa options that you file in the US, sometimes it might take months and maybe years before they even give you a decision. But the L1 visa is one of those few options that allows you to do what is called premium processing. If you can afford it, obviously, it costs an extra money to the US government. It's their own way of making a little bit money, but they actually also give you a big benefit, because once you pay the premium processing fee, you are guaranteed to get a decision on your case within 15 days, unless there's a query. Of course, if there's a query, they give you up to sometimes 4 to 6 weeks for you to respond and provide additional documentation, in which case, until you submit those documentations, your 15 days will not start counting again. But it's one of the fastest routes to get your application sorted. That's one of the big advantages. Number two, it's one of those big visas that gives you not just work authorization, but yourself and your family, and allows you to be able to convert to green card in the process later, without demanding that you must have big degrees. So it has what is called flexible degree option. There are no degree requirements for you to be able to apply for either L1A or L1B. I'll be explaining the difference between the two later. So you don't need to worry about matching a job title to your employee's university degree, which is one of the big drawbacks for a lot of visas out there. This is one of the reasons I love it, even if you didn't go to school, but you are an executive or you have your own business, this could be a great way for you. That's advantage number 3 or benefit number 3. There is no annual limit to L visas. Unlike the H-1B and many other visa options, there is no limit on the number of L1 visas that is granted annually. So employers can petition for the L1 at any time during the year, as long as the employee has been with the company for at least 1 year. Whether as owner or as somebody working in the company, it's another great benefit of the L1 visa. For instance, it puts it far and above H-1B, because H-1B, there's a numerical limit of 65,000 people, and that is typically reached the very first month. If I were in the H-1B month right now, March, and that is already filled. But with L1, there is no limit. Okay. Advantage number 4, the worker does not even have to have full-time work with the USA office. You can get this with a lot of the big boys who want this type of visa so that they can relocate their wife and their children and take advantage of being able to have a business in the US, but they themselves really don't want to come and stay in the US. They are doing great wherever they are, and they just want to get an option so that they can travel anytime they want. They don't have to go get a visa, and they can preserve. This visa is great for that. In other words, if you are sending yourself or this staff that you are sending, it does not have to work full-time with the USA office. It allows for part-time employment, meaning that even when you come here under the L1 visa, you can work part-time for it and also work for another company in the US. You get what I mean? For those of you who get it, you get it right now. In other words, you can use the L1 visa to come in, but you're working as part-time there while you get another part-time or full-time job with a different company to enhance your income. And if you are the type that really don't want to come and stay here permanently, you still have responsibility in the Nigerian office, you can do part-time here. So it's a great benefit that most other visa options do not have. Benefit number 5 of the L1 is that spouses can work in the US. Spouses of L1 visa holders can apply for work authorization with the immigration service to work without restriction. Most other visas, when you bring your spouse, let's say it's the wife that is filing, then your husband becomes the beneficiary spouse. If it is the man that is filing, then your wife is your beneficiary spouse. Typically, when you get your papers, they don't give your wife the authorization to work. That means they're just going to come here and be depending on the income that you are making, which can be very inconvenient for a place like US, especially when you have a couple that both have careers and they don't necessarily have to give up their career because they want to come and stay in the US. That is where the L1 visa is great. Everybody comes in landed with permission to work, including your children under 21. That is a great, great benefit for the L1 visa. Number 6 benefit of the L1 visa is that people on L1 visa are allowed to have what is called dual intent. See, one of the other privileges of the L1 visa, as opposed to many other immigrant visas, is that it allows you to have the intention to be a visitor or to be a permanent resident here. In other words, L1 visa holders may apply for green card to become a permanent resident without jeopardizing their L1 visa status or their temporary visitor applications while waiting. For those who may not understand this well, if you are coming to the US just as a temporary work or temporary visit, you are not allowed to have what they call permanent intention to stay here. That's why you have to prove to them that you have obligations and you have ties to your own country that you do not intend to abandon. And it is on that basis they deny many people applications, because they say, okay, you are going for H-1B, you are going for this visa. Prove to us that you are not planning to stay there permanently, and it is hard, especially when you are young and things like that. They know everybody wants to Japa from places like Nigeria, so they don't trust you, and that is why many people's visa get denied without any explanation. But L1 allows you to have both a temporary and a permanent intention, so you don't have to prove that you have a residence in Nigeria that you do not intend to abandon. That requirement does not apply to the L1 visa option, which is what makes it great also. So you avoid being denied your visa simply because they think that you have not convinced them that you have a resident here you don't intend to abandon. I love it. I love it. By the way, if you are just joining us on the radio, listening to this, or watching the video recording of this online, you are listening to this on Law FM 103.9, the best radio station by far for anything to do with law in Nigeria. All right? And we are discussing the L1 visa option to Japa to the US or to immigrate to the US. And we are breaking it down, talking about first the advantages of the L1 visa over other visas. If you have missed the last 10 minutes of this broadcast, you want to go and look at the recording later if you are just joining us. All right, so what else do we have here? A seventh benefit of the L visa over most other visas is that there's no waiting period for visa availability like most other visas. Typically, take EB2 right now. If you get approved for EB2 immigrant visa, there's a waiting period of over a year and a half right now. But L1 visa does not have a waiting period. It's always current because there's no numerical limit. So that waiting 2-3 years after approval before you can even get go apply for your visa does not apply with L1 visa. Once you get approved, your lawyer who help you file it in the US will simply apply for appointment for you in your country of origin, Nigeria, for instance, for you to get this L1 stamp on your passport and you are good to go. It's a big advantage that can save you years of just waiting to Japa. For L1 visa, there's no waiting period. So those are the 7 benefits that go with the L1 visa and why it is one of the hottest visas for the few that qualify for it. I agree, it's not a visa for everybody. It's not a cheap visa to apply for or to get. It's not for those who are just trying to survive. If you don't have a company that is willing to sponsor you in Nigeria, if you are not a manager level and up or a technical person in your company and that is willing to send you abroad to try to open a branch for them, you can't do this. Or somebody who doesn't have their own company who would then say, I'm ready to come and start a branch in the US. You can't get this. Obviously, for you to say you want to come and start your own business in the US or a branch of your business in the US, if you are a business owner, obviously you must have some means. So it's not an anyhow visa, and that's why I love it. But for those who qualify and you have the means, this could be one of the best visas you can apply for. So what is the eligibility? It is a temporary non-immigrant visa which allows companies to relocate qualified employees and owners, of course, in their countries to its US subsidiary or parent company. The qualified person, employee or employer who is an employee of his own company must have worked for a subsidiary or parent office or branch of the company for at least 1 year. In other words, the person that wants to be sponsored to come to the US on the L1 visa by the Nigerian company they work for must show that that person has worked for that company for at least 1 year out of the last 3 years. It does not have to be consecutive 12 months. As long as you can show proof that I work for the company for 12 months out of the last 36 months, you're good to go. That is your criteria for eligibility. Other eligibility criteria is that the company abroad, no matter the company in Nigeria, okay, or the child company or sister company to the foreign company in the US or that you want to start in the US, must be the parent. In other words, there must be a connection, either a sister company or subsidiary company or parent company. There must be a connection between the Nigerian office and the US office that is existent or that is about to be started. Another criteria, eligibility criteria, is that the company may be a non-profit. It may be religious. It may even be a charitable organization. A lot of non-profit organizations, NGOs, they don't even get that. They didn't know many of them, for instance, as a religious organization, all of them just apply for religious visa. But you can actually do L1 visa with the as a religious organization or as a charitable organization. So this L1 visa is a very good way for small or startup overseas companies to expand their business or services into the US. As we continue to cover more of the criteria, as you can see, this might be a viable option for you. Again, you are listening to Dr. Ope Banwo on Immigration Law Clinic on 103.9 FM, Law FM 103.9. I think that's how we call it. Law FM 103.9, the home of law on Nigerian radio waves for every area of law, from entertainment that has to do with law, to analysis of law, to new cases going on out there. Everything is covered at Law FM 103.9, and you are listening to Immigration Law Clinic. Okay, and we are discussing the L1 Japa option, the L1 visa as an immigration option to the US. So, however, you need to understand this, since the immigration typically will scrutinize L1 visas filed by lesser known companies more closely, it is important for you to get a professional lawyer, a professional consultant. I say professional lawyer. Lawyers are professional by definition. It is very important for you to get professional consultation with an experienced immigration attorney. I strongly recommend it, especially if your company in Nigeria or your country of origin or Ghana or South Africa or London or wherever you're watching this. If it's a small company, you want to make sure you talk to a qualified attorney. I've been an attorney admitted to the New York Bar and the New York Federal Court since 1997. That's 27 years ago. And if you're going to be doing this, I recommend, of course, you book an appointment for us to talk about your case at opebanwo.net. But if you're not using my services, please make sure you use a qualified professional so that you don't waste all that energy. And at the end of the day, you make a mistake that could have been avoidable. Okay? So, like I said at the beginning, there are two different categories of L1 visa. That's what is called the L1A, and then there's the L1B, which I'm going to quickly break down for you. L1A visas are for executives or managers, those who occupy executive positions in the company, either as one of the owners or as an officer or somebody who is of executive or manager level. Okay, they are designated as intracompany executive transferees coming to work in the US. So this person, either as a co-owner or just as an employee in the company, must have been employed in an executive or managerial capacity with the foreign company for at least 1 year out of the last 3 years. I said that previously and I'm repeating it again. This is important. You will need to document that if you're going to get this approved. And one of the ways you document that, obviously, is pay slips, pay records, letters from the communities to show that you work for 12 months with that company. We can talk more about the details when you book your appointment. In addition, for this L1A, okay, it allows a company who does not currently have a U.S. office to send an executive to the U.S. to establish one. Remember, the L1 visa is basically intra-company transfer. You are sending an employee from your foreign companies, your foreign country, to a branch of your office in the U.S. But it's also allowed, if you don't have a branch yet, for you to send this executive to come and start a new one. And it's very easy to start new businesses in the US. We'll break all of them down for you. Our secretarial arm of our law firm will definitely help you with everything you need to get that sorted within a few weeks. Okay? So that is the L1 is granted initially, and this is one of the big differences between the two, between the L1A and the L1B. L1A is granted initially for 1 year if it is a new company, or 3 years for a U.S. company with more than 1 year in existence. So if the U.S. company is already more than 1 year old, then they will grant it for 3 years. If it is just new, they're going to give it for 1 year. Then it is renewable for 2-year increments for a total of 7 years in that status. But you won't need all those 7 years. You won't even need more than 2 years, because after your first year in the L1, you can then apply for green card under the EB category for L1. See, so that's why I tell you it's a work visa that translates into green card if you do it right. But if you are just in that L1 status and you don't want to get a permanent residence because maybe you're one of those guys who don't want to really stay here, you just want to have easy ingress and egress, and you want your family and children to be here and enjoy their life, and you can renew this for a total of 7 years, right? Of course, with the L1A, dependents, your wife and children under 21 can join you on the L1 visa. Your spouse can work, and your children under 21 also can work. This is a huge benefit because it opens up a whole new set of doors for you. It opens up a whole series of opportunities for you and your family. So that is the L1A in summary. We can break it down some more for you when you book an appointment. The L1B is intracompany transferee specialized knowledge. I'm forgetting something here. Okay, let me finish. I was going to tell you about my immigration law books. I've written 4 of them. There's USA Immigration Without Tears. There's UK Immigration Without Tears. There's Canadian Immigration Without Tears, and Australian Immigration Without Tears. For those of you who might still be trying to look for the options that best fit for you, you probably want to get that book first. You can actually get it on that opebanwo.net. It's one of the links that is on that opebanwo.net for you to get that book. That way you can go through it. In each of those books, I discuss all the visa options available in each country in detail. For instance, the one for UK is over 400 pages. Every type of visa that is possible, every type of green card option that is possible, I broke it down. The same thing for the USA one. I broke down all the work. I focus more on work-related visa options. But we don't want you to come here with your PhD or master's or degree and come and be cleaning cleaning toilets or working in Walmart if you can avoid it. Okay, so please make sure you get your copies of that opebanwo.net. If you go in there, it's the same link. You book appointment. Below there, you will see the link to purchase any of these my books. All right, you are listening to Ope Banwo's Immigration Law Clinic on Law FM 103.9. So the second type of L visa, intracompany transferee, okay, for special knowledge people. This one is designed for professionals with specialized knowledge. They may not be top executive position. They may not even be manager level, but if they have a specialized knowledge about the business, then they can also qualify as an L1 candidate. An example would be an individual who possesses proprietary knowledge about the company's product and who travels to the US to impart this specialized knowledge to the US employees. Remember, the company is starting a branch of its office in the US. And if there's a specialized knowledge involved in its operation, then it makes sense to allow that person, regardless of his status, whether it's just an executive or assistant manager or just an officer, if the knowledge is specialized. Say, for instance, the person, if the company utilizes digital business in their operations, the person that handles their digital processes obviously will be qualified. If there's a technical aspect of their business, the person that has that technical ability, whether a manager level or not, will also be qualified for the L1 status. Okay. If there's a peculiar way that you market your business, if there's a peculiar way you put your products together, somebody with specialized knowledge in that area will be qualified for the L1 visa, even if they're not an owner, they're not shareholder, and even if they're not senior executives, they can come in under the LB2 option. Okay, so same way, companies that do not have office in the US already can send an employee with specialized knowledge to come in and help them set it up. And this one, because specialized knowledge people, in a way, they're indispensable to the organization. So instead of 1 year, they're actually given 3 years in the first instance. They are given 3 years in the first instance, and then they can renew it for 2 years at a time for a maximum of 5 years stay. In other words, you get your first 3 years, and then you can renew for another 2 years to have a maximum 5 years in that L1 status. But remember, after 1 year, you can start trying to turn that into a green card. There's a pathway for you to turn your L1 visa into green card, and you can start that process after your initial first year in that status. Okay, it's like I said, I love to repeat myself a lot when I say this, because sometimes you are listening, you are driving, and maybe you didn't hear me well. So I'll repeat again: the L1B visa is for the transfer of specialty workers, such as software engineer, to the US for up to 5 years in the L1 status, and they can change to their green card after the first year. They can start the process, right? So it is good for employees with specialized knowledge about your product, your research, if your the research of your products or business in your country, and as it applies, and then management as it applies to what I would call international markets or special market or different market. We can talk a lot more about that if this is a category that you are looking to. All right. So other important points about the L visa before we go to the next step here is that on completing the maximum allowable period, theoretically, the L1 visa holder must leave the US for a minimum of 1 year, and must work for that foreign company. In other words, go back to Nigeria and work for that company, or go back to UK or go back to Kenya and work for that foreign company for at least 1 year before they are eligible to reapply for another L visa. That is for those who don't want to turn your L visa to green card after 1 year that you are here, then you can be in it for the maximum period, 7 years or 5 years. Then after that, you are required to actually go work again for that country abroad for 1 year before you can come back to the US in L1 if you want to continue using it. A great part of L1, like I said at the beginning, is that it is not required for you to have full employment, though they are required to dedicate a significant portion of your time. So typically we tell employees who want to be in the part-time status, you do 20 or 25 hours a week. That will be more than enough for you to be able to put this in as a part-time staff. Okay. Okay. In other words, you have to be employed full-time by the foreign company, but you do not have to be working full-time in the US side of the company, because you are being sent from your foreign company here by a company that has employed you full-time in Nigeria for at least 1 year. But when they send you to the US, you can be working part-time in that US office, not full-time. And the foreign worker is allowed to divide their work between the US office and the home country, meaning that you are allowed to travel anytime where you don't have to stay here permanently. I found this has been very beneficial, especially to my clients who are doing very well in their country, like Nigeria. They have a great business there. They really just want to be coming to the US once in a while. They really don't want to stay here. So they will process it for them to be in temporary employment. So they get their L1 visa, they get all the benefits that go with it, and they themselves do not have to be permanently here. Okay, they can just spend a few weeks and then go back to the Nigerian office. Okay. So As we bring this to a close, as my time is starting to run down, what are the required documents? See, there are 3 levels of documentation that you're required to have to be able to apply for L visa. All right, that's what they call the foreign company documents, the company that from the Nigerian end. If you're Nigerian applying for this, or from the Ghanaian end, or UK end, or Kenyan end, the foreign country where you're coming from, you have to be able to show from that country, you have to show some documentation to prove that that company in your country is genuine. It's not a fake company that you just decided to use because you want to apply for L1. So things like articles of incorporation, and that must have been incorporated in your country of origin, the business license, if that is required for you to operate in your country, depending on your business, stock certificates. All of these are easy to create. Just a document that is showing that you own stock in that company if you are coming in as a shareholder. If you are not a shareholder, obviously you don't need that. Audited accounts of the foreign companies, of the current foreign companies operation. This is where some people break down. I've had some clients who hire us, but they're doing great. Some of them even make over $1 billion a year, 600 million. They have all the required money, more than enough, much more than enough for them to qualify for this. But they've not audited their company the last 3 years. You ask for their accounts. Now they say, okay, we have to go get an auditor. And that's fine. Know that this is going to be required. If you don't have it now, know that this is something you are going to have to do within 3 years. If you are not ready to do that, maybe you don't want to apply for this so that you don't get bogged down. Your income tax filing, the personal income tax filing, or the company income tax filing is required. But see, they just need to show that you are not a lawless person. If you are not paying taxes in Nigeria, you are not likely to want to pay tax here. Or it's also part of what shows that the company is real. A company that is real, that is doing business. Remember, you have to show the company has been existing for at least 3 years. These are part of the documents you have to submit as proof that the company is real. All right, promotional materials of your business. Those are very easy to get. Banners, flyers, business cards, to show that the business is real. Of course, another very big, important part of it is detailed organizational chart. Again, we can help with that. Any consultant can help you with that to create the organizational chart of your company. The reason why this is important, I like to share that when I discuss this with people on audio or video as you are watching now. The reason why they need that is they want to be sure that your business is not a one-man operation. So that when you come to the US, the Nigerian company dies, or the Ghanaian company dies, or the US company dies, L1 visa is not for you to relocate with your business to the US. It's for you to come and start a branch of your company in your country of origin in the US. Meaning, when the person you are sending, either yourself as an executive or one of your workers and all of that, they want to be sure that the US end of the company, the Nigerian end, or the UK or the South African end of the company is still operational while you are here. So they will need an organizational chart to show that there's continuity. That's what they're looking for there. That there's a CEO, there is a general manager, there is manager, there is an officer. So you have to show that when they remove that person, whether it's a manager or an officer, if it's a technical person or an executive, when that person comes to the US, that Nigerian company is still running. So some of you might need time to set this up. If your company is not structured properly, it's very easy. Creating an organogram just simply meaning having positions and having people occupying those positions. And we can also work with you in helping you make that happen as long as your company is real. I don't do fake companies. We're not going to go bring a company that has no operations and then go and say they've been operating for 3 years. I do not do that. If that is your intention, don't even book my appointment. Your company must be real, and it must be, I've been doing business for 3 years. It may not have all this documentation done right. Then we can work with you in giving you ideas and helping you to work on some of that stuff to make sure you properly document. And I see that a lot, especially in Nigerian companies. They're doing great. Their company has been around for 12 years, but the documentation is not tidy. And they may have to take a few weeks or months to make sure it's tidied up, getting an auditor, getting an accountant, getting a consultant like me to work with them to make sure they get that sorted. That is for the Nigerian end of the business. We work with you on that. Okay. Then there is what they call the US end of the business. which essentially is also proving that you really want to come here and do business properly. Meaning you have to register a company abroad, have stock certificates. Of course, if the company is in existence for more than a year, you will need to show them the audited accounts. But if the company is new, obviously you won't need audited accounts. You won't need financial statement other than what is written in your business plan. If the kind of business you want to come and do requires license in the US, you have to apply for that license as part of your process. Because you're not going to come and do legal business in the US. They want to see your corporate bylaws. Again, we are a secretarial arm can help you with this, or we can introduce you to those who can help you register the company. We do that, but we also give the clients the opportunity to get it done themselves, because it's a separate a brief on its own to help you register your US company, get you the bank account, get the articles of incorporation, get the bylaws done for you, get the business plan is one of the most important documentation here. Because remember, if you are just starting a US office, you are saying you want to come and do business, so you need a robust business plan to show that this is a serious business you want to come and do. And that is for you to generate. But if you need help, of course, we have professionals who can help you to generate that business plan. And most of this documentation, your company secretarial lawyers in the US, they can get all of this done for you in under 30 days. All right, we've done it for many clients. It's something that we can help you with. And then they also want to see that your company is serious. So a list of a business location where you're going to be doing your business is also important. That will also work with you in getting that, or whatever consultant you are using for this part of the documentation can also help you with that. So basically, it's just documentation to show that you are serious about that business you want to come and start in the US, or if that business is already here, the documentation to show that the business has been operational for more than a year. That's it. And if you're really serious, all of this stuff are easy to get. All right. So basically, that's it for the L1 visa option. Of course, there's a lot of similarities between the L1 and the H1B visa. I'll quickly go through that before our time runs out today. An H1B visa is very similar to L1 in many respects, because it allows you to accumulate stay and under limited circumstances. In other words, there's a limit to the number of years you can stay on those visas. We know that L1 is 5 or 7 years, H1B is 6 years. So that is just a similarity between them in terms of a comparison. Both L1 and H1B are non-immigrant business visas for skilled workers, okay, for workers who are either executive or technical in the work they do. So they are similar in that respect. Okay. Another similarity is that both H1B and L1 carry dual intent. A foreign national who is allowed to enter on a dual intent visa may enter US as a non-immigrant, even if he or she has filed or intends to file for permanent resident in US. In other words, many other visas don't allow you to come in with a temporary visa if you have already applied for permanent resident through something else. But with L1 and H1B, it doesn't matter that you have already filed another application for green card through a different qualification for you to be able to apply for this. So they are also similar in that respect. Another similarity is that for the H1B and the L1 visa, you can file for them using the premium processing option, which, as I explained in the beginning, allows you to be able to get a decision on your case within 15 days by law. But it comes at a fee. You have to pay a premium processing fee to the US government, not your lawyer. That money is going to the government and it's going to be receipted for you. So that is similar that's a similarity between both of them. But what are the differences? Because I told you at the beginning that L1 is a superior visa to the H1B. Okay? Unlike H1B, the L1B visa holder is not required to be paid the prevailing wage, meaning that you can actually be paid a lower salary than what is prevailing in the US. And that is important in this day and age of the big exchange rate for those of us who are in Nigeria or Ghana or those countries where the exchange rate is poor. Because typically, if you are coming H1B, you have to do what is called labor condition attestation, where you are going to sign documentation to show you are not paying your worker less than what you are paying your USA workers. That's in the H1B. For L1, they do not require that. You don't have to pay the prevailing wage because remember, you have to show documentation that you can pay this stuff. So they allow you to be able to pay less. I think that is a great difference that makes L1 superior to the H1B. H1Bs have long been the choice of bringing specialty workers to the US, but it has a cap. 65,000 visas is what is issued in H1B every year, and it finishes within 1 month, the month of March every year. Once they open it up within 30 days, the visas are over. That means anybody wants to then apply for that have to wait 1 year. If you are not ready as at the time they open it up, then you have to wait a year to file again. L1 visa has no numerical limit. It has no, so there's no limitation. That's why this is very attractive to especially employers who need their employees to come to the US quickly and to get the work done. And, okay, so that's a major difference. The third difference is that an L1 employee must be somebody who has worked for the foreign company for at least 1 year. That is the foreign company sponsoring them. H1B, on the other hand, can be from anywhere. You don't have to have worked for any company in Nigeria or Ghana or UK or whatever foreign company before you come here. So that is you might say that's an advantage for H1B. In other words, you can be employed by a US company, whether you have worked for any, whether they have a branch in your country or not. It's not relevant. But L1, you must have worked for the sponsoring company abroad for 1 year. Right? Another difference is that the H1B must be a job that requires a minimum of a university degree to do, meaning that you that is coming H1B must automatically have a university degree first. And that degree must be something that is required for you to even be able to do that job. So that is very limiting. L1 does not contain a degree requirement. You don't even have to have a degree. They're not focusing on your degree. They're focusing on your experience. They're focusing on the job you've done for your foreign company. That is what makes L1 superior. This one is, I would say this one to L1. I'm sure you agree with me on that. Superior on that. The fifth difference is that the degree for an L1 person doesn't have to be in any specialized field. For H1B, not only must you have a degree, it must be in a specialized field that require minimum of university degree to do the job, like an engineer, like a lawyer, like a scientist, I don't know. Jobs that you must have a degree before you can do it. But L1 does not require that. Not any of the one, not L1A, not L1B. Okay. For another difference is an L1A manager or executive may spend a total of 7 years in the L1 capacity, even if they don't want to convert it to green card. They just want to come and be going. They don't want to be resident here. They can have it up to 7 years. While L1B for specialized knowledge employees is, of course, 5 years maximum, as I explained before. An H1B beneficiary can only spend up to 6 years on an H1B visa. And they don't have a direct path using that H1B to apply for green card, even though, of course, they also have options to be able to pursue green card when they are in the H1B status. But there's no direct path that links H1B to the green card, unlike the L1, where they have a direct path through the employment-based green card options, EB1, for them to come in here. Very, very big, important difference. All right, so that's it. In terms of what it will cost you to apply for this, they keep increasing the price. I think the right now it is $460, the filing fee to immigration, and then there's a $2,500 fee for premium processing if you want to do premium processing, right? Then, of course, for your dependents, there's $370 fee to file their dependent application based on your own L1, and that's what they call a $500 fee that you pay to immigration, what they call fraud prevention and detection fee. So in case they need to investigate any part of your claims, they don't want to be the one paying for it. You are going to be paying for it. They don't give you the money back, even though they hardly ever do investigations on this thing. I've never had any of my clients investigated before, or I'm not aware of it. Because we try to make sure we put in the best documentation for you before we file. And then, of course, when you're approved and you need to stamp it in the Nigerian office, as at the time you are watching me, the fee is $190. All these fees are subject to change without notice. These are all direct fees to the federal government or to the government of America, to immigration. It's not coming to me. That's why I said at the earlier time, this is not a poor man's visa, and this does not include my fees. And my fees is, of course, much higher than this. Of course, we can talk about that. And when you come, and when you book an appointment, opebanwo.net, for us to talk about this. But you just want to bear in mind, typically, if you're going to do this L1, to be realistic with you, will be costing you anywhere from $12,500 to $15,000 or $20,000 even, depending on how many children you have and the spouse and children you want to include. It's not by any means a poor man's visa, but it's a very, very direct path to get yourself and your family to be able to land in the U.S. with working permit, while at the same time having a direct path to green card. And I think $15,000 to $20,000 to pay to get this done is not too much, considering what the other options might cost you and how many years it might cost you to be here. I just like to be very direct. Every cost that you will call here, I will break down for you further when you book your appointment for a meeting with me. That's it for the L1 visa option to the US. I think it's one of the most potent visas out there, especially if you have some means, or you own a company that has been operating for years, or you are an executive in a company where they do not mind helping you or trying to help extend their company to the US by sending you to come and start a branch of that business for them. If you have any questions, of course, you want to call it in to 103.9 Law FM, and we can respond to your questions live, or you can post it on the wherever you are listening to this, or you are watching the recorded. If you are watching the video, that must be the recorded version of the show, because the show is originally live on Law FM 103.9, and you want to tune in every Saturday to join us on that show. But if you are watching this or listening to this, you can also put your comments on the thread. We have staff that are actually creating that, and then we will respond to that, or either directly to you or through another of our broadcasts. And of course, I encourage you. L1 may not be for you. Maybe you really want to Japa. Maybe you have other qualifications. Maybe you have other bases in your mind. You want to book an appointment with me at opebanwo.net, and let's talk about it. Or maybe yours is not even employment based. Maybe it's family based. Maybe you have a family. You've been trying to get yourself, or maybe one of your family members has a problem and they need a lawyer to help them out. I am your guy. Ope Banwo has been doing this. I've been doing this for 27 years now. If you're watching this in 2024, this is, I was admitted to the New York Bar in 1997, and also the Federal District Court of Nebraska, USA, 1997. And that's all I did for more than 15 years before I even added other things to our practice, which includes criminal law, personal injury, because as we expanded, we also created other departments. We are a 20-person law firm right now, but our specialty is immigration in all aspects of it, from citizenship to green card to deportation defense to work-based immigration. We are your people. So you want to book an appointment to talk to me about whatever your situation is. Remember, you are listening to Japa Without Tears, or Immigration Clinic on Law FM 103.9. We'll be more than happy to help you out Remember, when you get to opebanwo.net, you also want to get my my immigration without tears books. I've got 3 of them. One is called Immigration Without Tears, USA Immigration Without Tears, which breaks down every type of visas that are available and green cards available to the US that are work related. We have UK Immigration Without Tears. That one I broke down everything, not just work related visas, all types of visas, all types of things you can get to come to the USA and to UK and stay there. We also have Australian visas without tears. That covers all the types of visas they have in Australia. And finally, we have the Canadian visa without tears for you to explore all the options open to you. Literally, there are hundreds of them. Some visas you never heard about. And some visas, you might think that I don't have any qualification, I may not qualify for anything. Going through that book, you might be surprised that there's a particular visa with your name on it. You just don't know it yet. All right, so check it out at opebanwo.net. And I will see you next week with another exciting episode of Japa Without Tears or Immigration Law Clinic with Ope Banwo on 103.9 FM Lagos. All right, key into them and get yourself educated. Don't go and start dealing with touts and then you cry later. It's better to speak with professionals, get professional advice before you make your move. Sometimes it's better to plan before you leave Nigeria so that you're not scrambling when you get here about how you are going to make yourself permanent. Many people don't care. They just want a visa. Then they get here and get stuck. They can't work. They end up working at Walmart even though they have a master's degree. I was a victim of that kind of thing, where I had to do a $7 an hour job doing what is called telemarketing because I did not plan my Japa well. I got in here and then was trying to figure it out. You don't want to be like that. All right. I will see you on another exciting episode of Immigration Clinic with Dr. Banwo on Law FM 103.9. Until that time, stay safe. Remember, planning beats a bad plan is better than no plan at all. Plan your Japa by talking to a professional before you do it. Bless you, and I will see you